and gentlemen, introducing Michael Tucker, President and CEO of Columbia EDC, Audrey Zillman, Chair, New York State Public Service Commission, and please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you and good morning. Governor, welcome to the historic city of Hudson and beautiful Columbia County. We're delighted to have you here this morning, joined by Public Service Commission Chair Audrey Zillman. I would like to begin by welcoming not only the governor and the chair, but all of you, elected officials, all of you citizens of Columbia County who are interested in this important topic of broadband. From the regional economic development councils to the upstate revitalization initiatives, the governor has taken a new approach to spurring economic development upstate, one that invests in our local communities and transforms them into economic generators of tomorrow. Broadband is one of the most important components to ensuring infrastructure is equipped to meet the demands of the 21st century. I can tell you firsthand, as all of you know as well, that having limited access to broadband poses serious concerns for businesses, government, educational institutions who have to compete with others in urban areas who have broadband services. Advancing broadband technology has been a priority of the governors and the Capital Region Economic Development Council, which I'm proud to serve on. And through the strong partnership, large investments from state and successful programs like New York Broadband, our goal of ensuring every resident in the capital region and throughout the state will have access to high-speed internet is becoming a reality. Today's announcement is an important milestone in this plan and a perfect example of what we can achieve when government comes together and delivers on the needs of the community. The new New York Broadband Program is making a difference in the way communities communicate, especially for schools, households, and community institutions like this library. And we will only see this progress continue to grow. I want to thank the governor again for his dedication and commitment to ensuring that no New Yorker is left behind or forgotten with respect to the technology issues of the 21st century. I look forward to working with the state and our local governments to continue to build on the progress that has been made, and I am confident that the announcements today will send a message of opportunity and success to other communities throughout the state and across the nation. I would now like to introduce and welcome the chair of the New York State Public Service Commission, Audrey Zillman. Commissioner.
Thank you, and I'm delighted to be here. For those of you who don't know what we do, the Public Service Commission oversees the telecommunications industry in New York as well as electric and gas. And what that means is that what we care about is for every day that every New Yorker, when you turn on your lights, when you turn on your heat, when you use your phone, you have the most modern, advanced system. And I'm absolutely delighted to talk about our accomplishments that we're being able to achieve under the leadership of Governor Cuomo today. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge two people who have been really instrumental in us getting there. One is Bob Puckett, who is the president of the New York State Telecommunications Association. Bob. And one of our partners, Jim Becker, president of Middleborough Telephone. So I get the chance to talk to you about what Broadband for All is all about. As Michael said, access to high-speed internet is essential for growing and competing in the 21st century global economy. We all know that. The New York considers high-speed broadband to be speeds over 100 megabits, Governor Cuomo talks about New York leading. We are the only state that has this commitment to speed. High-speed broadband makes a significant difference in everyday life. When you download an HD movie, if you don't have high speed, you're talking about 2 to 3, sometimes 5 hours. If it's high speed, we're talking about 11 minutes. If you use a credit card, 5 times faster with high-speed broadband. So what that means is today we have 2.4 million homes and businesses in New York that lack access to high-speed internet. That lack of access stunts the growth of our communities. It limits opportunities, really, for too many people. Governor Cuomo's vision was to have broadband for all New Yorkers at 100 megabits at least by the end of 2018. Today, we're announcing 4 actions to expand broadband for all. This January, the Public Service Commission approved the Charter-Time Warner merger under the condition that Charter would increase internet speeds to 100 megabits. Charter is upgrading service for more than 2 million upstate homes and businesses to that speed. Their original condition required them to get to that upgrade by the end of 2018. I'm very pleased to announce that Charter has committed to us that they will complete the 2 million upgrades this winter, nearly 2 years before their requirement. As part of the merger commitment, Charter also committed to building 145,000 additional connections. Today, we're announcing the first 6 target counties. What that means is that by mid-2017, the vast majority of customers in these areas are going to have access to 100 megabits or more. We're also unveiling the first 25 awards under the state's Complementary Broadband Grant Program. The grants are going to enable local governments to connect 30,000 homes with high-speed internet for the first time. The Capital Region is being awarded $6.2 million from the broadband program. And what that means is that 338,613 homes in this region are going to be receiving expanded high-speed internet, including $2.5 million for Columbia County and expanded speeds and service for 14,530 homes. With these actions, 97% of New York homes, for the first time, are going to have access to high-speed broadband. But if anyone knows that working for Governor Cuomo, we're not finished. So today, I'm proud to say we're launching the RFP to reach the remaining New Yorkers in our most rural areas. The RFP seeks bidders who will build in the most remote parts of the state, and recipients will be announced later this year. And to complete the broadband expansion, we're going to issue a 3rd and final RFP at the end of this year. I'm very proud to say that we're on track to meet Governor Cuomo's ambitious goals. Now, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, I would say this one is worth a zillion megabits. We're going to go from here in 2016 to what this looks like in 2017 and what this looks like in 2018. It is broadband for all. Thank you. I now have the pleasure to introduce the person that I work for who has continuously demonstrated to me what true leadership is about, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this is an exciting day, and it's my pleasure to be here. First, it's my pleasure to be back in Hudson. I'll tell you a little secret. When I am off duty, not that I'm ever really off duty, when you're governor, sort of a 24/7 job, but I live in Westchester, and I love to come up with Sandy and the girls because Hudson is just so beautiful, and it's such a beautiful way to spend the day on the weekend. So I come up often, but it's good to be here in my official capacity. First to Michael Tucker, who does a really great job. He's a pro. Let's give him a round of applause. Audrey Zibelman, who has been a phenomenal leader for the PSC, and this week, really, you've seen the accomplishments that the PSC has brought. This state is going to be the leading state in the nation in terms of clean energy, thanks to what Audrey has done. So between that and broadband, I think she's earned her pay and more. Let's give her another round of applause. And to Kathy Marchione and Phil Amador and Dee Dee Barrett, who are my partners in the legislature, none of this happens without them. This was a $500 million. This was a $500 million investment, which is a lot of money on anyone's budget. And if the state hadn't made this commitment, this wouldn't happen. So let's give them another round of applause, and I thank them for it. Let me say this, a little context, if I can. Complicated problems. This nation has a lot of complicated problems. This state has a lot of complicated problems. We just went through these political conventions. Everyone's angry. Everybody's frustrated. A lot of complications. I always believe that as complicated as a situation is as simple as it is if you can just get the emotion out of it and look at it honestly and candidly. The situation we had in the state of New York for many, many years was that the upstate economy, what's upstate defined as? North of the Bronx, right? That's upstate. Hudson Valley, upstate, that was one economy. And the New York City economy was a second different economy. And the New York City economy was very strong, and it has been strong, ups and downs over the past 40 years, but basically the line has been up. Hudson Valley, upstate New York, basically the line has been down for 40 years. That is the honest truth. Well, you can't say that. Why not? Well, because it's too stark, but it's true. And if you don't acknowledge the problem, you will never solve it. That is the first rule in life. In any relationship, when you look in the mirror, if you're not willing to acknowledge a problem, you're not going to solve it. We had two economies in this state, and the state government in Albany was more focused on New York City. Why? Because that's where most of the people live, that's where most of the wealth is, that's where the media is. So the state government focused on New York City. And the upstate Hudson Valley communities got less assistance from the state. At the same time, over those 40 or so years, a lot of what the state did actually made it worse because the state was raising taxes. So now if you're upstate, you're Hudson Valley, and the taxes are going up, 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 and the economy is already fragile, it increases the exodus of businesses. And when the businesses leave, people leave. All those years, you see young people leaving generation after generation. How many parents would say to me, I couldn't tell my children to stay because there's no future for them. So they left. And that was the story. And it got worse, and it compounded itself, and nobody would even admit it. And the political system was all focused on New York City. That's where the political contributions came from. That's where the media outlets were. And the people who were fighting for upstate, like Kathy, Dee Dee, Phil, Hudson Valley, they were fighting against an overwhelming majority. You look at both the Assembly and the Senate, they come from downstate New York. And it's very easy when you're a legislator. They say, I want to do for my district. Well, how about your colleagues who have different districts? I wish them well, but I want to do for my district. And that went on for a lot of years. The stark difference in this administration is we acknowledged it, and we admitted it, and we said it, and we corrected it. And we have done a 180-degree turn. We first said, you have to stop raising taxes because you're chasing everyone away. And just because the people in New York City can afford it, who, by the way, don't really pay property taxes, that doesn't mean it works for the rest of the state. Every year, we have reduced taxes again. Today, every person in this room pays a lower tax rate than they did 6 years ago. Middle class up to $300,000, lowest income tax rate in 70 years, believe it or not. So reduce taxes overall. Second, give special attention to those areas that need more help. When people say, well, how, you're governor of the entire state. How can you justify giving more help to upstate New York than downstate New York? You know what I say? Because upstate New York needs more help than downstate New York. I have no problem. You have 3 children. I love them all the same. Yes, but if you have one that needs more help, you give that child more help. And you don't apologize for it. It's your responsibility. And that's how I've seen my responsibility. It has been a dramatic shift. We have invested a lot of money in upstate New York, $25 billion. We've invested in upstate New York. This administration has invested more in upstate New York, Hudson Valley, than any administration in the history of the state of New York. And I'm proud of that. Now, within what we need to do, lower taxes, investment, credits, et cetera, marketing of New York and marketing of the areas that need assistance, probably the single most important issue that we needed to address was this. Why? Broadband, it sounds like it's something that is high-tech people use and it's really not important for day-to-day life. This is everything. This is everything. This is infrastructure for today. This is what the road system was in the 50s. You need roads. Why? Otherwise, you can't get there. If you don't have a road, you can't develop the area because you can't get to the area. If you don't have broadband, there is no discussion. Michael Tucker is going to sit with a business and try to pitch a business coming to Columbia County without broadband, forget it. I'm going to tell my kids, I'm buying a second home in Columbia County. Oh, it's beautiful, nice, let's go. No broadband, forget it, you're on your own. Cole will miss you, you know. It's a very simple conversation. You cannot be competitive without access to broadband. It is Eisenhower's highway road system of the 50s. It's what Governor Smith did, DeWitt Clinton did with the Erie Canal. It's what we did with the New York State Thruway system. You have to be able to get there. Broadband is that basic a requirement. Now, when you go to the map, can you go to the map that the areas, Quinn, whoever has the map, the 2016 map. Now, what happened was broadband was distributed, was placed by private sector companies. So they put broadband in the densest parts of the state where they could make the most amount of money. Why? Because from their point of view, you get the biggest bang for your buck in areas of density. if you look at those areas, those are the areas that coincidentally are the areas of the state that happen to be doing well. They're dense, there's a lot of commerce, there's a lot of clients for broadband. So the areas that got the broadband were actually the areas that were already doing well. The areas that didn't get broadband were exactly the areas that actually needed more assistance. You know, the market reinforced the market's success. Where you had business thriving, communities thriving, they got the internet high speed. Slower markets, they didn't, which meant the slower markets were going to get even more slow. Challenge to us, challenge to Audrey, how do you incentivize the private sector companies to actually go to the areas that don't have a high economic impact? And that we're doing two ways. Number one, companies come to the state for merger agreements, approvals. Audrey's genius was, you want us to approve your merger? We'd love to approve your merger. We just want to make sure you are helping the state in this merger. And let me tell you how you can help the state. You can help bring service to places that are not currently served. The state also said, and there are going to be some areas that are just not economic for the private sector companies. To do rural parts of the county where you have to spend a lot of money to access the homes, and then you only have a handful of homes, that is not economic. And there the state said, we'll participate in subsidizing the providing of the service there. So that's the two-step approach, basically, that we've taken. That's what the legislature approved at $500 million to partner for the 100% broadband. The only state in the United States of America that is doing this is the state of New York, and we are doing it faster than anyone has ever contemplated. And it's just not access to internet, it's access to high-speed internet. 100 megabytes per minute per second is high-speed internet. And that's what we're providing. So it's not that we're putting in just access to internet and then 2 years later we have to upgrade it to high-speed internet. It is a game changer in that it totally flips the situation. I've always believed Hudson Valley, you want to talk about a place that naturally has all sorts of advantages for economic development. It's the Hudson Valley. It's one of the most beautiful places on the planet. What God created here was a masterpiece. It had inspired schools of artists. People came from all over the world, right? Hudson River School, just to paint the natural beauty. The Hudson River itself. You have every advantage you could possibly imagine. And you have access to anywhere. You want to get to New York City to see a play, you can do it. You want to go north, you can do it. So it has every advantage that you could imagine. Michael Tucker's job should be very easy. Real estate market should be very easy. You have that big market in New York City, the residents looking for second homes. You have 50 million tourists coming to New York City every year from across the globe. 50 million. That's nice. Come see New York City. By the way, then come see the Hudson Valley and see why the artists and the sculptors all came to the Hudson Valley. And it's amazing how you can have that urban metropolis, but then just a couple of hours away, one of the most beautiful rural natural settings on the planet. So he had all sorts of advantages, but you have to be able to get there. And it's no longer the road system, It is having the internet system and the high-speed internet, which now equalizes the playing field. Because if I'm at my computer in Columbia County, I can be in Manhattan, I can be in Paris, I am in this, wherever anyone else is, I am, for purposes of commerce and presence. And I think now you're going to see the natural assets come to the foreground because the negative has been resolved. And the speed at which this is done is amazing. You know, government, if it does anything, it's normally slow and then late, right? Extended timeline, and then it misses the timeline. This is 2016, 2017. We will have 80% of it done, 2018, the rest of it done. So it is remarkably fast. And we're going to go from like 99% that doesn't have high-speed internet today to 100% having it in 2 years, which is going to be an amazing, amazing transformation. So congratulations. I congratulate Audrey and her team, who did a great job. My colleagues in the legislature, thank you very much for the investment and the partnership in working this out and making this possible. And Michael, thank you for all you do. Thank you and God bless you.